So not on Zoom, guys, on Kapish's YouTube channel.
That's what I meant. Thank you for the correction. All right. And we are live. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure of mine to host these nuts and bolts leadership trainings for quite some time now. And the feedback we get always is just absolutely inspiring and is what has us continue to get together on a regular basis and share from our hearts the ups and the downs of this beautiful industry of entrepreneurs, where people oftentimes for the very first time are venturing into self-employment. So let's talk about some of the obstacles that we must overcome, especially in those early days when we are moving from one space to another. And you know, we live in such great times right now in terms of what resources are available, what information is available, what studies are being done and shared with us, that we can really learn a lot about ourselves as a species and learn how to optimize and maximize ourselves from our own behavior. All right. I was talking to a dear friend of mine today who I've known since I was a little baby. And he's one of my friend's sons who's grown up to be an incredible human being in his late 20s, and how he was sharing with me, he was talking about how his belief in himself, and he's been hugely successful, by the way, as an individual, but how his belief in himself was still lacking in so many ways. And his self-doubts and his fear locks him into inaction and stops him from taking the next step. And this is from somebody that is, as I said, very, very successful in his own right as a young entrepreneur, but nonetheless still identifies in his mind that he has blockages. He's nowhere near his capabilities. And so we had a really great conversation around that and distinguished what were the fears. So let's just look at that. If you are new to entrepreneurship, if you're recent in the world of entrepreneurship, by the way, for me, I've only ever been an entrepreneur, so I kind of don't know any different in terms of mindset, attitude, approach, thinking. I have no other idea other than what it is to be an entrepreneur. So I often make sure that I'm not taking things for granted. So I want you to consider that where you are now as an entrepreneur is nowhere near what you're capable of. What if that was the case? All right. And I don't know, you might already be everywhere you might have achieved everything you ever dreamt of achieving. You might have kicked all of your financial and business goals to the moon and back. I don't know. If that's you, congratulations. I hope you'll come and share afterwards and add your experiences as well to the community. But if you're not, if you are still finding that there are obstacles, there are barriers, there are walls, there are things in the way, then what are they? And oftentimes where we'll go as entrepreneurs is to try and identify things on the outside. All right. And I know it sounds very cliche that everything you're looking for is on the inside, but it actually is. But we start with what's on the outside. So what are the excuses or the really good reasons, the reasonable reasons that you give yourself for not doing what you know that if you did would work? Because it's not in not knowing what to do. All right. A lot of people spend a lot of time teaching their teams what to do. The what to do, in my opinion, is the easiest thing to teach. Everyone knows what to do. Show up, invite more people, present to more people, follow up with more people, help more people get over the line, make the decision, and then duplicate that. There aren't many skills required in the broad brushstrokes. And then, of course, there's tons of nuances. Like in each of those categories, there's a lifetime of learning. But in terms of the number of categories you need to master, especially in the industry of direct sales, it's very few categories. All right. So if you know that showing up is rule number one, and you show up, then congratulations. You've mastered rule number one or skill number one. But if you know people that aren't showing up, again, there are clues, right? So if people in your team, for example, are not showing up, or sometimes even your upline is not showing up, then ask them, Have this conversation with them. What do you think is in the way of you just conquering rule number one of success, showing up? Why are you not showing up for your own success? It's a psychological conversation. It's a self-destruct conversation that they have with themselves. Self-destruct, low self-esteem, lack of self-respect, lack of belief in oneself, an unworthiness, not deserving of success, not worthy of success, not good enough for success, hasn't got what it takes, whatever it might be, right? Every human being has had their own journey, and in that journey have made subconscious decisions. And by the way, our subconscious runs our entire life. Very few people have power over their subconscious. It's the most powerful part of our brain. It runs on autopilot. The subconscious is the part of the brain that learns really, really fast and early in life, and then repeats patterns. All right, it's a pattern repetition mechanism. And it works in many areas. Our subconscious is why we don't just run onto the road without looking left and right and listening for vehicles. We don't consciously do that. Our subconscious knows to do that already. It's working in the background on autopilot. Our subconscious is what allows us to drive without thinking about driving. We don't think when we're driving, we just drive. But if you go back to when we first started to learn to drive, it was an absolute nightmare. We had to think how to drive. You had to think when to go into first gear, when to move to second. Are you in fourth gear? Are you in the correct gear? Are you braking at the right time to come to a stop where you need to stop? Are you turning the steering wheel at the right angle to make the turn that you need to make? Are you looking in the mirrors? Are you aware of other drivers? There's millions of things. You're overwhelmed in the beginning. But at some point, because the subconscious learns really quickly and is there to serve you and support you, doesn't take long. And now you can do all of those things and eat while you're driving, smoke while you're driving, do your makeup while you're driving, do whatever you want to do and drive at the same time. So it goes from consciously incompetent to unconsciously competent. There's a journey there with everything. So if we can do it with driving and we can do it with communication, right? When we're teens, we are horrible communicators. We lack vocabulary, we lack experience, we lack just life. And so as teens, we struggle to communicate effectively and powerfully. And oftentimes as teens, we make a mess of our communication, especially with our parents and adults, right? We make a mess of it. But as we grow and we increase our ability and our awareness over time, hopefully, we mature a little bit and we're able to have the relevant apology conversations, repair the damage we've done as a teen, and now live a nice, solid, powerful adult life as a grown-up with lots more skills, maturity, and awareness, acuity around emotions, etc. So as we're growing in life, in relationships, and we're growing in day-to-day skills, like if you've got a job, that's another one. You know, it starts when we're young. When you first went to school, chances are you kicked and screamed, begging your parents not to send you through those gates. I'm not surprised, because it looks very much like a prison, doesn't it? Big gates you've got to walk through. They lock the gates behind you. You're not allowed out until the bell goes off at night, right? And so a kid intuitively knows that is not the place I need to be. But however, we've created structures and systems. That's how we send people in. And, you know, as time goes on, you get used to that. You get used to it and it becomes normal. You normalize it. Showing up on time becomes normal. Leaving on time becomes normal. Doing what you're told becomes normal. And that prepares you for the workplace. And so we do it at work, don't we? Our subconscious does not question or doubt our ability to wake up on a Monday morning and show up. We know on a Sunday that we're going to do that. We know it so well that many people have a pit in the bottom of their stomach that starts to turn when they think about Monday morning. And you think about that the weekend is coming to an end, like the week begins before it actually begins. I often say that Monday on a Sunday are many people, especially if you don't love your job. Monday mornings becomes a pain on Sunday afternoons and Sunday evenings. We're already not looking forward to it, right? But we know we're going to show up. That's called discipline, habits. So our subconscious makes sure that we do what needs to be done, not what we feel like doing. If we went with what we felt like doing, we wouldn't show up on a Monday. But the subconscious knows that the consequences of not showing up on a Monday equals no wages, equals no paying your rent, equals homeless. So we show up. So we know how to show up when the reason is big enough. The challenge is that we don't make a reason big enough for us to show up for our own business. As a business person, you've already got all the skills you need to become a powerful business person. But it's learning to transfer those skills across from your traditional life, which works well for the most part, to your new life as an entrepreneur. So it's a skills transfer process that needs to take place. You know how to show up. You know how to show up and participate and do what needs to be done. You know how to take action. You know how to learn new skills on the job. Chances are when you first got your first job and you went into the office, you didn't know what you were doing. You were probably petrified. You were probably anxious days before that first day. The day itself probably would have been full of stress and nervousness and not knowing what you're doing and what you're supposed to do next, all of that stuff. But it didn't take you long, maybe a week or 2 or 3 or 4. And then you knew where the coffee machine was, and you knew where the staples were. You knew where the stationery cupboard was. You know where the boss's office is. You know where your upline manager's desk is. You know basically what you need to be doing when you get into the office from when you sit at your desk, what's expected. There's a list of things that need to be tackled. You start to get familiar. You don't have to ask it. It doesn't take long before you come and you do it on autopilot and you're comfortable. There's no more anxiousness, no more stress, no more fear of the unknown. I mean, there might be stress in terms of the day-to-day usual, new things popping up and new challenges coming up, etc., the unpredictable happening. That's all part of it. But generally speaking, you know what train to catch or what bus to catch or what time to jump in your car to make sure you're not late anymore. It all becomes familiar. You know when to put the kettle on to be out of the door in time. You know, once you get into the office, how many hellos and high fives you need to give before you get to your desk on time, and you start doing what you need to do and tackling the tasks of the day, and you start completing them one at a time. And it feels great when you start winning. And every once in a while, your manager throws you a bone and you get excited. You say, thank you very much, because you get some recognition, some accolades, and you do more, you do better. You try harder because you like when somebody else outside tells you you're worthy, you're great, you're deserving, good job. We rely on external acknowledgements for internal belief. Isn't that interesting? See, as an entrepreneur, you have to give yourself that pat on the back. You have to learn to acknowledge yourself, to recognize yourself, to thank yourself for showing up. But you'll only do that if you show up, if you're doing what needs to be done, if you're taking on the daily tasks, you're tackling the tasks, you're getting them complete, you're making the phone calls, you're sharing your heart out, you're learning about your products, your services, your organization, your company. You're getting better at sharing the information with others, more powerful, more focused. You're able to say a lot more with a lot less words, or you're able to say nothing with saying a few words, but creating huge curiosity, creating possibility in the lives of others with some excitement. You're able to add some flavor to the conversation, really start dancing in the conversation with your potential prospect. You're able to identify a hot prospect from a distance. That kind of, all these things can now become second nature, but they can only become second nature if you repeatedly do them over and over again. And the more consistently you do them, the more compressed time you can apply on that, the better you get at those skills. And now there comes a moment where you can speak to anyone, and not can, because that's even theoretical. There comes a moment where you just naturally speak to anyone about what you're up to in a way that's not salesy, that's not convincing, that's not yucky, but is beautiful. It flows, it has finesse, it has elegance. It makes the people that you're speaking with want to come and dance in your conversation with you and explore and get curious. And that exploration and curiosity then leads to a commitment, and a solid and a powerful commitment for themselves, with huge reasons to want to show up and have a listen to how you're making stuff happen for you in your life. So you go from generic talk. So very rarely will I ever speak about a company. I might speak about a sector, an industry, as part of the conversation. But most of my conversation when I'm pitching somebody new is all about them. And what do they want out of their life? What are the goals and the ambitions and the vision they have for themselves? Or what are the things that they've let go of, given up on? What had them give up on stuff? What was their life experience that they gave up on their dreams? They gave up on improvement. They gave up on better. Why? Ask a ton of questions. Get brilliant at asking loads of questions, and your potential prospects will happily share their journey, their life journey. And when somebody shares their life journey with you, a connection builds, a human connection from one empathic and caring human being to another. And now you're able to make a difference. And you can say, listen, do you know what? I've been there. If you have, or if you haven't, I know other people that have been where you are, and relate to stories, right? It's all about stories. I know somebody else that was exactly in your situation, and guess what? I've heard their story. I've seen them transform that. And today they're living their best life. They're having a blast. They're learning every day. They're growing every day. They're building their empire. They're building their future. They're working towards their goals and dreams and ambitions. Why don't you come and have a listen at how many of us around the world are locking arms to make that happen together? It's not a journey you want to be doing alone. Again, giving people the opportunity to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So you create that picture of unity, of community, right? Unity, coming together of like minds, working towards common direction. And so now you have a vehicle that we can all learn about together, master together, move forward to achieve whatever each individual wants to achieve in a powerful system. That's what you're enrolling people into. The concept that, this concept of a business mechanism that allows individuals to pursue their personal goals while being surrounded by people that want them to win. It's a beautiful environment, a supportive environment. That's what makes this work. So that's why showing up is important. The more you show up, the more familiar you are with your teammates, with the people around you. The more familiar you are, the more comfortable you feel, the more confident you will feel, the more likely you are to show up again and again and again. It's a little bit like friend circles. If you see each other consistently, the friendship gets stronger. But if you suddenly fall out of a group of friends for a while, and then you join back in, you've missed a lot of chapters, you've missed a lot of stories, and you for a while feel a little bit disconnected. And you have to work twice as hard to reconnect to the group, right? Because there's been a gap between. That's why the consistency is so key. So here's what I know for a fact. That if you've ever worked in a job, then you know how to show up consistently, day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out. So we don't need to worry about whether you've got what it takes to show up. The question is your reason strong enough and big enough for you to do that? If you're connected to a bigger purpose and you've got a big enough reason and goal, showing up is the easiest thing you will ever do. So if you're not showing up, or if you know people that aren't showing up, like every single opportunity, that's where you want to guide them to take a look at. Like, what do you really want? What are you looking for? What is still unfulfilled in terms of where you are now and where you want to end up? Time's ticking fast, by the way, right? You ever notice that? Time gets faster and faster the older you get. Like in your teens, it's forever. As a kid, 6 weeks holidays we had in the summer. I don't know what you get in your countries, but in the UK, we had 6 weeks in the summer. And those 6 weeks were the longest ever. They felt like 6 years. Like, okay, maybe not 6 years, but you get my point, right? They just went on forever. It was only 6 weeks, but as a kid, it went on forever. It was the best part. You woke up every single day looking forward to whatever you're looking forward to. For me, in my time, it was getting out into the streets and playing with the kids all day long till the street lights came on. That was our kind of sign. When the street lights came on is when we knew we had to go back to our homes. And even then we wouldn't, right? Until the parents came out looking for us and calling us back in. It's amazing. 6 weeks. But we remember our most emotional and intense times more than anything else. To this day, I can remember hot summers, the sun shining on me as I'm running around in the street in my little vest and shorts, playing cricket or playing football or playing ad or chase or whatever other gazillion and one street games we used to play. Brilliant. Can you see that? Unforgettable moments. Why? Because we're engaged fully with all of our senses, right? What happens is the older we get, the less present we are, the more busy we are, the more things are filling our minds and our spaces. So imagine you are able to be more present and less distracted by things. That's kind of the goal. If you really want to succeed in network marketing, be present to the outcomes that you're looking for, because you will forget them. Life will take over. Life will distract you always. This is why I say the difference between successful networkers and struggling networkers is minute. It's such a fine line. But if you can find your way past that fine line, it's not very different to what you already do. Everything you already do equals successful networker. But you just got to transfer those disciplines and skills across and make them unconscious. That's all it is. Do you remember the first time? Some of you may be in crypto, right? I got into the crypto space about 3 years ago for the first time. And being a non-techie person, I hated it. I absolutely hated how uncomfortable it was, how awkward it was, how tricky it was, how all of the stuff that it was. But guess what? It wasn't long before I was teaching other people how to do it. Became unconsciously competent. I was trading on exchanges, buying and selling crypto, and moving from one currency to another currency, and then deciding what was going to be my portfolio and how I was going to spread my risk. And I was doing stuff that I'd never done before, but I was doing it comfortably. Can you see? Didn't take long, 6 months, maybe between 6 months to a year max. And I put myself in the expert category because I knew more than 95% of the people on the planet. And it's not because I knew everything. I knew enough to know more than 95% of the people on the planet. See, when you're in a new space, you don't need to know much to get that massive head start. Can you see that? So yeah, a little bit of uncomfortableness, bit of relearning, disciplining yourself, but just trust that everything you think is in the way is only temporary. Once you get fully committed with strong reasons why you're going to follow through, then you just follow through. And you show up to the Zooms and you speak to people, you speak to people that you know, you speak to people that you just recently met, you speak to people that you don't know, you speak to strangers. Why? Because you're committed to improving your pitch, your communication skills, your ability to influence, all of those things, your ability to generate excitement and enthusiasm on the spot, even when you don't feel like it. These are skills. These are skills that you can bring to the table. I can be tired, worn out from a full day, falling asleep, and 15 minutes before a Zoom, at 11 o'clock at night when I'm in Dubai, my alarm can go off, and within no time, I'm bright eyes, bushy-tailed, and ready to rumble. It's generated. It's not natural. It's created. It's a practice where you can, I'm like that with everything that, if something needs doing, like you could wake me up at 3 a.m. and some people wake up groggy. I don't know what that is. I don't understand what groggy is. I've never understood. I'm lucky like that. I'm really blessed. Thank goodness. But I don't, ever since I was a young kid, you could wake me up at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, anytime, and I'll be ready. I wake up ready. I don't wake up, oh, just give me a nap. I need a bit more time, 10 more minutes. I've never been that guy. I'm really easy to wake up. I don't know why that is, but it's kind of, I'm a yes to life. I don't look at 3 in the morning. I look at, oh, wow, got woke up. What are we going to do? What's going on? What's next? What are we up to? That's my default thinking. It's not, why is someone waking me up? What's going on? Some people go to fear. Oh my God, what's wrong? What's wrong? I wake up and what are we doing? Who is it? What's happening now? Can you see? It's just, and that becomes unconscious and normal. If you think that way most of the day, you're going to think that way even when you're asleep. It's all wiring. Everything is wiring. So you can switch off and switch on at will. Imagine that. Like I can fall asleep anywhere easily. And I can wake up anywhere easily. Fired up and ready to go. That's called training. Consistent training over time. So as an entrepreneur that's starting out or new in the journey or even old in the journey but takes a lot for granted, look at this stuff. Where are you not generating yourself? Where are you not bringing your A game? Where are you not hitting out the ballpark? Where are you not doing yourself justice? And then there's the measurements. You want to bring out the measurements. 100% of the time, be committed to doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done. I've often talked about making sure you connect with at least 3 people a day, every day, new people. Not the same 3 people every day. That's called follow-up. That's another activity. But opening up 3 new conversations a day, every single day. If you just work on that one thing, it's massive. It's 100 people a month. You couldn't do that for a year if you tried. You wouldn't know how to juggle 1,000 people. You wouldn't have a clue. You wouldn't have the first clue how to juggle 1,000 people. But guess what? If you had 1,000 people to juggle, that would be a beautiful problem to solve. You'd never run out of people to talk to ever again for the rest of your life. But if you never do the 3 a day for a year in the first place, you'll never have 1,000 people to talk to. Can you see? But if you go through that really tough, intense exercise for 1 year of your life, you end up with the skills, the resources, the contacts, everything you will ever need to build a monster business anytime you want to build one. 3 a day, every day. If you do it for a month, it's 100 contacts, pretty much. Do it for 3 or 4 months, guaranteed you'll have an organization. And then you help your organization to do the 3 a day. Now you tap into leverage. Don't just rely on yourself to do three a day all the time. At some point, you want to find somebody in your organization that's also 3 a day. You'll find somebody else that's doing 2 a day. Somebody else that's doing 1 a day. Find those people. I often say, run with the runners, walk with the walkers, just don't sleep with the sleepers. All right? Leave the sleepers alone. If they're not showing up to Zooms, if they're not inviting new people, if they're not making one, don't waste your time. Know where you are, be there for them, but don't chase them. You're chasing the wrong people. Their dream is not big enough. Their goal is not big enough. They will drain you before they add value to your business. Don't get caught up with people that talk, and do nothing. Tons of those. They've got time to kill, and they will kill your time. So be mindful who you are communicating with. And I don't want to sound ruthless, but it is a kind of a ruthlessness that needs to happen for you to maintain your own sanity. You want to laser focus your energy with people that are laser focused on their journey forward, and then work with those. And the more people you surround yourself with that are running, then it works with the same dynamics. The average speed of everybody is much higher when you run in a group than when you run by yourself. The average speed of everybody increases because there's a natural competitiveness, if you like, in humans. It's not even competitiveness, because it's not even about beating each other. There's a thing about humans that we like to keep up with the pack, keep up with our peer group, our people, our tribe. So you raise your vibration, to raise your vibe, to improve your tribe. So start where you are, find people that are where you are and move forward, and then increase your speed and be the one that sets the pace. There's always a pace setter in every pack. Be the pace setter. As you become a pace 2 or 3, very close to you, they become your runners, and go full speed ahead with those ones. And then you support the rest, however they want to make their journey happen. Cool. Appreciate everyone, acknowledge everyone, empathize with them, love on them, but don't get stuck with them. They are on their own journeys and you're on yours. So identify yourself and declare yourself a leader. Declare yourself somebody that's a leader of the pack, a pace setter. Be the person at the front, not at the back, if you want. Not everyone's got those goals and dreams and desires, right? And I'm not talking about goals and dreams and desires that are lofty. I'm saying if you want to make 100K a year, which is so doable for any human being on the planet that gets serious about this beautiful industry. 100K a year, doing 10 hours a week, 100% doable. I'm not talking about making $1 million a year. I'm talking about a full-time, decent, C-level income. Very, very doable in network marketing. If you can get consistently 10 hours a week, don't miss a beat, wrap it up, commit to it like it's a done deal, and you improve, constant, never-ending improvement. That's the name of the game. It's not just about doing the same thing every day. It's about improving the things that you're doing every day for a period of time until you put yourself ahead of the game, ahead of the pack. And now you become the example, the one that does the 3 calls a day, the one that does even 3 follow-ups a day on top of the 3 new people a day, the one that's got at least 3 people around him or her that are running with you, your runners. If you've got 3 people that are running with you, you're done. Do you realize that? You find 3 people in 3 different legs of your organization, any structure, in any organization. If you've got 3 solid people around you that are running with you to the top, running to the best that they can possibly run and committed to the things that I've just shared with you, you're done. That's all we're ever looking for. Those 3. But guess what? They're not easy to find. Jim Rohn, I'll finish with this. Jim Rohn says it beautifully. He says, if you find one leader that's able to do what you do, like given you're at the top of your game, and you find one person that's able to do what you do and commit to it and run with you, you will do very well in network marketing. If you find 2 leaders that run with you, you'll crush it in network marketing. If you find 3 leaders, you will earn beyond your wildest ever dreams. And if you find 4 leaders, you're probably lying to yourself and didn't understand the definition of leaders. That's how hard they are to find. But when you find them, recognize them, lock in with them and run with them. Don't need a lot. That's the beautiful thing about this industry. The power of leverage. 3 amazing people and you're done. Now you might have to go through 300 to find those 3 amazing people. And oftentimes, most of the time, in fact, they won't necessarily be the people you know. The best people will be somewhere inside of your network. Lock into those. Make sure that they're identified and plugged in with you. Cool. So I want to open up. I hope that you've enjoyed that. You've learned something you can maybe pass on and share with your teams, your organizations. And if you want to share something that you might have learned, picked up on, something that's relevant to you. And don't forget, we're always going through different phases. Whatever was relevant to you today, you can share that as well. Dizzy, you're up first. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I just
Hey,
want to say thank you, Kalpesh, for doing this every week. I've known you, in fact, I invited a 17-year-old on the call today because he invited me to a talk where there were inspirational people. And I said, listen, let me do you a favor, yeah? To be 17 right now and have access to this kind of information. I'm not sure if he's actually made it. If you have made it, great. If not, we'll get you on the next one. But yeah, just, thanks for sharing and bringing the heat every week, man. It's always relevant and it's necessary to recharge that battery and, get that springboard. So muchas
100%.
gracias, Kalps, and
Always a pleasure.
speak to you soon.
You bet. Thank you, buddy. Hey, Tom. Welcome. How we doing?
Good.
Yes,
I'm reminded of what you said. I love that. I'm yes to life. I'm that way too. I can wake up at 3 a.m. and recite any pitch I've ever done just over and over and over. I think when people get into this business, if they want to be paid like a doctor, they need to act like a doctor. And what's a doctor do when you go into his office? What's he usually ask you?
Yeah, questions.
Where does it hurt?
Mm.
And I think that if we want to be paid like a doctor, we need to act like a doctor. And that means we need to ask the right questions. And I think, what you do so well, in your presentations is people may not realize it, but you probably ask 20 or 30 questions through your training, and it makes us think. And when you realize that you're making other people think with questions, maybe you ought to, stop, for lack of a better word, puking on them of everything you know, and start asking what they don't know, or where does it hurt? And I think that's so important. But that, quote, until you start asking the right questions, you'll continue to get the wrong answers. And if you have the wrong answers in your life, it just means you're not asking the right questions. And what does it take to change from, hey, I want to tell you about an opportunity, to, hey, how's the family doing? Or how's your new job doing? Or, I heard you lost your job. What are you doing to solve that problem? And, turning what you want to say to try and convince them into a question to get them to convince themselves, I think is so important, that it's important enough for them to come to a webinar or, do whatever. But I think and you said something really critical about, getting those 3 people. I think I've always said that, 5 out of 100, will do something. And you're right, it's probably 1 out of 100 will actually do what you and I have done, and Izzy and some of the other leaders have done on this call. And the question I have for you is, if you did that for 3 years and you found those 3 people, and you retired 2 years later, or made enough income to make as much as a doctor in 5 years, what if it was a 5-year journey? And I think people get into this business and I think they think they're going to get rich in 90 days, or they think they're going to get rich in a year. What if you could replace your income in a year or 2 or even 3? That to me is a better realization or expectation of what's real in our space. And I think the network marketing industry is guilty of that, in that we set people's expectations to an unreal, level, when we should say, are you willing to commit 5 years of your life to this? Could you get excited enough about this product or this vision or this opportunity to stay focused for 5 years? And, if the answer is yes, let's lock arms and go. Oh, by the way, what's that mean? Well, it means there's 3 webinars a week, or there's 5 webinars a week, or there's 1, whatever it is. Are you willing to commit? Can you put these on your calendar and never miss one? And, I was just thinking, I posted in our Telegram group that, I think a lot of people make excuses, and excuses are the fire extinguisher of dreams. Excuses are the fire extinguisher of income. And, I find that people that have a lot of excuses are miserable. And if you just stop making excuses, maybe you'll stop being miserable. But just awesome training. I always get some. I was pissed I was 8 minutes late for it. I don't even know what I missed in the first 8 minutes. I'm going to go back and watch. But if everybody will start asking better questions, you'll get better answers. You'll get better prospects. And I think when you go in with a pitch, you're wearing leader repellent. You're going to repel them. And you just have to ask yourself, do I want to attract them, or do I want to repel them? And I think what people should really do is, every time you ask a question, during a webinar or a training like this, people ought to write it down and just say, here's a question I need to write down. Here's, and by the time you're done with 50 trainings over the next year with Kalpesh, you'll have probably one of the most valuable training manuals you could ever imagine in your life. So just want to thank you and just encourage everybody to be a doctor of network marketing. Don't be an idiot of network marketing. We got too many idiots in our industry. So change up your style and let's turn this industry into a professional industry where people, really want to be a part of this industry. And it starts with this leadership group with 49 or 50 people on here. Let's impact the next 5,000 people that impact the next 500,000 people that impact the next 5 million people. And let's teach people how to do it the right way. And that's what you learn when you come to this training. So thanks. Appreciate you, man.
Cool. Thank you, Tom. Really, really great wisdom always shared. And yeah, don't be an idiot. I love that. Don't be an idiot. Be a professional. Benison, how are you, brother?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Kapesh. That was a very wonderful training tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Tom. There's a point you made that just hits me. Like I found that this is a major problem that many persons have. Of course, my team not showing up in their own sources. Why not showing up in their own sources? Like I think that is a major thing. If people are showing up in the major, because it's easier to know what to do, but it's hard to do it. Okay. Like I made it my priority since last week. I said, okay, I'm going to do this business and I must make sure I have at least 10 persons on a Zoom call. Yeah. Sunday I had, I invited more than 10 persons, but only 8 shows up. And one picked the package today. But I thought I would have more than one that picked a package. I thought the 8 that showed up. So the point is, many persons know what to do, but not eager to do it. You understand? And every leader should be able to impart, push their team members to do exactly what they're doing. Because it's easier to say, hey, let's do this, but you as a leader, you're not doing it. And of course, they watch what you do. You understand? They watch what you do. So you need to set the pace. And honestly, I think that is it. Now, I want to just find out, Lisa, is it possible to, this is a private question you might send to me later on WhatsApp. What kind of modality of making $100,000 from this space? Let's say in 1 year time. How many persons that I need to recruit, and what could be the team volume that could generate $100K in 1 year time?
Yeah,
I would like to have that, and I want to set that as a goal, if possible, 6 months time, because I would like to hit that. Seriously, I want to hit that.
You've given me some homework to do, so we'll play with some numbers and see what kind of figures we have to come up with to create a 1K average performance. I'll get back to you with that for sure.
I would really like that. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, my friend. Awesome. Sue, you are next up and closing it off.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Kapesh, for another awesome nuts and bolts session. It really just gets me present to again that, the more energy that you bring to something, the more you're going to get the results that you want. And I think, even if you look at, this call today, right, we've got close to 50 people on. How many people really show up to learn? How many people are really leaning in to learn, right? And as leaders, 50 people showed up. They've given an hour of their time to this call, 50 minutes. 50 people gave 50 minutes of their time to this call, right? Yet they don't have their, they don't have the, and there's nothing wrong, it's fine, but it's just, it's just around, giving it something energy, giving your attention, your time, and really leaning in as a leader. If you're going to do that, then you can only, lead the way for other people. And I think for me, there's times when I haven't done that as a leader, and I know that my team is also reflecting back to me who I'm being. I'm declaring for my team to show up, right? So if I'm not leaning in and I'm not in that energy, then my team will be the same. So I can't blame them then if they don't show up, because it's all about who I'm being, it's in my space. And I just think, we were talking earlier about confidence as well, of people sharing. And again, like, you know, what are we doing as individuals or as leaders to really develop that level of confidence? And, you know, Tom and yourself, like, you just nailed it really. It's really getting, rather than feeling like you're getting one, it's around, okay, how can you really get into the world of someone so that they can get one?
Brilliant.
You know?
Love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So listen, guys and girls, it's us, 50 of us today on this Zoom. Question is, how many lives are you going to impact? How many lives are we collectively going to make a difference to? As Tom said, if 50 can reach 500, who can then reach 5,000, who will then reach 500,000, who then reach 5 million, that ripple effect. Can you imagine if we become professionals instead of idiots? And that said, with all of the lightness that can come with that, right? It's not calling anyone an idiot, but, you know, the industry does attract people that are short-term thinking, lack vision, and therefore don't educate themselves, don't train themselves, and don't sharpen their saw. They don't improve themselves. And therefore they show up in the world as a sloppy networker, ending up giving the industry a bad name and doing more damage than good. Imagine if you invest this hour a week and another couple of hours here and there on your knowledge and building your skills, and another couple of hours a week on the activities required to generate business. You know, like I said, 5 hours a week as a minimum, 10 hours a week would be beautiful. You'll build yourself an awesome empire, and you will find your runners. You will find those 3 people that you're looking for that will take you to the moon and back. All right. So I hope that you haven't just shown up for a nice interaction of conversation, but you're going to take this and turn it into something for you. The key is to internalize it, engage with it emotionally, and turn it into measurable results, just measurable results. And something I want to finish off with here. Benison said he invited 10 people, 8 showed up and only 1 signed up. I will take the word only out of that. He invited 10 people, big tick box. 8 turned up. That's ridiculously insane. It means his invite has mega power. 8 out of 10 turning up is mega leadership. And 1 signed up, not only 1 signed up, 1 signed up. If you can get 1 sign up out of 10 people showing up, that means if you invite 100, 10 will sign up. You got 10 people front line, you can find your first 2 or 3 out of those 10 inside of their teams if you duplicate with them. Can you see? This is the beautiful thing about numbers. So just repeat the numbers until your numbers start to improve. So thank you. It's been amazing as always. And don't forget, we are here every Wednesday, same time, same place, same link. Share this with your contacts. Make sure that you, if they missed the live, get them to the YouTube channel. But, let's start building your community. This is a generic training for the industry on leadership and success in the direct selling industry. So, go ahead and invite all of the people you know that will benefit from this education, because it's about the industry and raising the vibes of the tribes within the industry. Thank you once again. We'll see you at the top. Ciao for now.